You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
At Samaritan Airport. We're back, not to keep Canada weird by unpacking the week's weird news. We're here to keep Canada weird by digging into episodes 190 to 200's unlistened, unaired, behind-the-scenes mailbag. I don't think I need to explain what we're doing here, but it has kind of become customary for you to explain in some long, drawn-out way what a mailbag is for people who've been living under a rock.
Yeah, do you want me to do that again?
Yeah, I'll drink my tea while you do it.
Okay, great. Well, basically what happens is we get so much standard mail in our mailbox. All the correspondents communicate through handwritten letters, and they send them in to us. And then we sit on them for months and years, and they pile up, and we have a mail room where we have elves from the North Pole that work there, and they process the mail. There's a lot of redacted pieces in these mail of things that the elves feel that you and I shouldn't see, that listeners had said to us or said about us. By the time it gets filtered through the process, we only get about maybe 5 or 6 pieces of mail that actually end up coming through. And that's when we hire voice actors to play the correspondence. And then that's what we air on the show right now.
Okay. But in the interest of transparency, you don't need to send us a letter. You can go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact, send us a voicemail, and save all those poor elves, all that rigmarole, as we call it in Cape Breton. What we're going to air tonight is letters or voice messages we received between the airing of episode 190 and episode 200 of Keep Canada Weird. And we made a decision before we went to air tonight, so I want to share that decision right off the bat here. Is we both love doing mailbags. It's always hard to get around to it. We've decided now that we're going to do one every 5th episode. So the next mailbag will be covering episode 200 to 205 and so on and so forth. So get used to the mailbags. It's going to be sticking around, but let's get right into it here. One of the things that happened between episodes 190 and 200 was a lot of bannings. And that's something that came from you, Aaron. It was, I don't even recall the history of it, but I do know that there were slights, and there were perceived slights that led to listeners being banned. But we have an old friend named Jeff, who's actually the guy behind Bye. And he wants to let you know and me know, and all the listeners and the correspondents out there know that he's glad that his nonsense happened before the bannings and that he was able to avoid that whole mess.
Hey guys, it's Jeff from Minnesota here, your favorite Minnesota correspondent. You might remember I tried to bait Aaron into Googling with the Lincoln Log song, and then I had the bye at the end, if you guys remember. But I'm calling in specifically about the banning. So I'm glad I got all that in last year before the banning had started, because I'm afraid that Aaron probably would have banned me, which could be a problem because I do not consent to being banned. So I just want Aaron to know that we squashed your beef. Everything's good. That being said, I love you guys. You're awesome. Keep up the good work. Well, bye.
I love it. I think he's clear about not consenting to the bannings because he doesn't want to get mixed up in this whole banning fetishism that played out over that period of roughly 10 episodes, where it was pretty clear that people were getting off on it. And you made it clear yourself that you were only comfortable banning people who got off on it if it was a consensual thing. Jeff wants nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that's okay. If Jeff doesn't want to be banned, doesn't consent to be banned, then I will not ban Jeff. It's an easy one. I only, like you said, I only want to ban people who want to be banned. So, because you can tell when somebody's calling in who wants to be banned, and that's the person who gets banned. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I appreciate Jeff calling in there, and certainly it's been a while since we've heard from Jeff, so it's always great to hear his sweet voice, and I wish Jeff all the best with his goodbyes.
He left us a weird message about Lincoln Logs, thinking that would lead you on air to Google what a Lincoln Log was. This is ages ago. You didn't fall for it. Would that have been grounds for a banning if that happened at a different time, a different place?
I would have to be presented with a voicemail from Jeff during the banning period with that type of content in it, and I'd have to make a judgment call at that point. I guess I can't really say right now. It's two different eras of the show, and I can't really intersect them. I don't want to cross those streams. I just want to leave the past in the past and let Jeff live there in my memory of how I see Jeff.
I like it. This episode, Keep Canada Weird Mailbag number 11, will be released likely to people on the 25th of February. That comes before, I think we'll call it C Day, which I believe is March 4th. You have a deadline up in the air. Now, I know we don't need to get into topical things too much because we're looking back at episode 190 to 200. But banning's maybe making a return. Is there anything you want to say about that on the mailbag?
Well, I'll just say this. We've set a deadline for Cove Soda to respond to us and the listeners over the fact that we've been reaching out to Cove Soda repeatedly to completely crickets from them. So if they don't respond by March 4th, I'm not calling it a ban. I'm calling it a legal boycott.
A legal boycott. Okay. I'm excited for the next weekly weird news roundup because we got some big updates for anyone who's following the Cove Soda storyline. A lot's coming, but not a lot of responses from Cove. But let's move on by moving back to the period of time where we were talking about puking on rides at amusement parks. Do you have any memory of why we got into that in the era of episode 190 to 200? Why were we sharing puke stories?
Yeah, I don't remember the story that triggered it, but I do remember sharing the memory of me on a ride called the Spider, an amusement ride, and I vomited all over her lap. And I remember sharing that story, but I don't remember what news story had led into that.
I know something did, and I do recall calling out for stories about puking on amusement park rides. We have a whole bunch of them sitting in the mailbag. I think maybe at the time it seemed like a great idea to call out for that, but as I was going through these stories, they were all so disgusting. But I'm going to share one of them now. This is probably my favorite story about puking on a ride at an amusement park. This comes from a listener named Jacob in the US.
How's it going, Jordan and Aaron? This is Jacob, your, I believe, first correspondent from South Carolina. I was listening to your most recent episode of KCW, and I heard the call out for amusement park puke stories, and it got me thinking about mine. So over here on the East Coast, we have an amusement park by the name of Carowinds, and it sits on the border of South Carolina and North Carolina. Very busy, very popular place. I had gone with a group of friends years ago. I was probably 14, 15 years old maybe, and we had an agreement that we would ride the Fury 325 coaster first. Now, if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's wild. I had a pretty normal breakfast that morning, so I was thinking, all'd be well, wouldn't get sick, because I usually tend to get sick on rides after riding them, thinking all was going to be well. I was going to go in there, hammer it out, and have just a great day. It was not all well. As soon as we had hopped off the ride, I felt a type of sick that I had never felt before. I shot for the nearest bathroom, which of course was like 50 yards away from where we got out at, and made it just in time to puke all over the bathroom. And to make matters worse, there was a worker in there cleaning. Poor worker who was in there, God bless his soul, saw me puke everywhere, and he probably quit his job that day. So if you're listening, brother, I apologize.
I have a feeling the fella who cleans the bathrooms at the amusement park has seen worse than somebody puking all over. This worker has no memory of Jacob's puke because of all the horrors he's seen in that amusement park bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Puke is a good day in a bathroom like that because I can't imagine. Yeah, anyway, I won't get into it. But yeah, no, that's good that he had this on his conscience for a long time, it sounds like. So to be able to air that publicly, to have a forum to be able to put that out into the world, apologize to that worker, get that off his chest. I feel privileged to have been able to be a part of that universal apology to anyone who was affected by his vomit that day.
And that will be our last, hopefully our last vomit story. For everyone else who sent us puking in bathroom stories, I appreciate it, but it turns out I just don't have the stomach for listening to too many of them. A lot of them are pretty gross, especially the ones that like described what they ate. I liked Jacob's because it was pretty nondescript about what actually happened. But another thing is Jacob's really ties well into something else we talked about during this run of 10 episodes. Do you remember your idea for the Dear John podcast?
Yeah, I do. This was a podcast idea I've had in my mind for many years. And yeah, it would relate very, very well to that puke story. But
Dear John podcast, you want to explain, or you want me to explain what I remember about it?
Okay, explain what you remember. That would be interesting.
It was a podcast where you would just kind of record from and review different bathrooms.
Yeah, that's sort of it. Yeah, like basically I would be interviewing somebody and then I would use their bathroom and I would review their bathroom.
Okay, so it'd be an interview podcast with kind of like a subplot underlying every episode that was their bathroom. You would go to someone's house, they're a famous hockey player, you'd talk about their career, but then halfway through the episode, you'd go to the bathroom and it would just pivot.
Yeah, I go to the bathroom, I'd use it, and then I would review it and talk about it and what I like and don't like about it.
And then would you go back to the interview for the second half?
Yeah, well, the second half would probably be bathroom dominated, but
okay.
I mean, I've never done an episode of this. I never tested it, so I don't know. I haven't worked out the kinks.
Okay, if you do want to test it, we have a listener named Sherry who wrote in. She heard you pitch the idea of the Dear John podcast, and Sherry loves it. Listen to this.
Okay.
Hi, this is Sherry, man on the street in Toronto. I am referencing to your, I believe it's February 21st podcast, that you were thinking of adding on and doing another podcast called Dear John. Well, I have to say, you would definitely have a large audience for that, as I'm actually a member of a group that when we go on vacation or go into fancy restaurants, or even not such fancy restaurants, that we always send each other pictures of what the bathroom looks like. What's the decorating ideas? Do they use paper, or is it a shishi bathroom and they have towels? Anyway, it's one thing that we certainly do amuse ourselves with. And it's interesting to see how bathrooms are set up. Anyway, keep it up, guys. Bye.
It seems like if you don't start Dear John, Sherry's going to.
Yeah, don't steal my idea, Sherry. It's been officially copywritten because it's been recorded and it's put out there. And so definitely don't steal that. But if I do it, I'll have Sherry on as the first guest. Or maybe I should make sure that Sherry's not a guest because that will guarantee me at least one download if
right.
I do the show. Yeah. So maybe I can't have Sherry on. So.
All right. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to dive into some stories that were originally planned to be for a special episode called not entirely tires, not specifically stairs. I think we were going to call it Holy Holes.
Yeah.
We got a couple Holy Holes stories after a short break. Handsome Aaron Airport. In episode 191, we heard the story of the woman in, I think she was in Montreal on her bike and she fell in a hole. That opened up this whole rabbit hole about hole stories. And we called out to listeners to let us know about their interesting stories involving holes. We heard a whole bunch to the point that we were going to do an episode called Holy Holes. That never happened, but some of the stories that were set aside for that, we can listen to now. I want to share this one with you. This comes in anonymously, probably because it's a little bit offensive. Here's an anonymous hole story about their ex.
Oh.
Hey, I'm in the middle of separating from my ex-husband, and he's a really big asshole. Does that count? Bye.
Does that count as a good hole story?
It is a good hole story. I think hole can be interpreted any which way you want. So you can come at it from different angles. So I think that's great. I think they were creative about their whole story. And that's why I think that idea has merit. We could have possibly done a whole series just like our stairs series or whatever, we ended up doing. Holes could have been one too, but
Okay. If we had have done the Holes episode, Holy Holes, this next story from a listener named Tiff in Vegas may have been one of the highlights of it, but I will warn you, Tiff, she has a great hole story, but she also has a potty mouth. Listen to Tiff from Vegas.
My name's Tiffany. I'm from Vegas. I'm the one that almost died by getting a tire smashed on their head. So when I was a kid growing up in Vegas in like the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody remembers there was freaking housing construction going on everywhere. And we had just moved into like these new homes, and part of the neighborhood was still being built. So us as kids, we also used to go and play in the construction when the construction workers weren't there. And we wouldn't do anything crazy. We would just kind of play house, play tag. Now that I think about it, it's like incredibly unsafe. And so one day when we're done playing, I decide to head back. And before I had left, my mom had said, all right, I'm getting you ready so that we can go to a nice dinner, and then we're going to take you to this cool toy store. I had won this award. Then I was going to get an award for painting something with like some oil crayons or something. Anyways, so I went home and I'm walking past the construction fields, and there's like this big ass puddle, and I decide to splash on the puddle like, a little asshole, and I splash and I fell all the way through, and I'm trying to dig myself out. It is a hole, a puddle, giant puddle hole, bigger than me, obviously, because I couldn't even feel the ground. And I almost drowned in the fucking puddle. My friends, luckily, were still around me, and they were trying to pull me out. I was fucking covered in mud from head to toe. Then I got nervous because I remembered that, we're supposed to go to dinner. Scared for my life, dude, because I knew my mom was going to be pissed. So I try to walk through the door, just completely covered in mud, and my mom sees me. Stop right there! And she grabs the hose and hoses me down in my front yard. Neighbors are watching. My mom's stripping me butt-ass naked, dude. Just completely It was the most embarrassing thing. And actually, that was the last time that I was allowed to go outside and play with those kids. Keep it gangster, and Merry Christmas and shit. Bye.
I edited all the goodbyes at the end, but I had to keep in Merry Christmas as shit.
I like that. I'd like to see some greeting cards with that on it. Merry Christmas is shit. Not is shit, as shit.
She started off, I think she said like a frickin' at first, so she was kind of censoring herself at first, but as the story started pouring out of her, so too did the...
she was just peppering us with swear words here and there. So Tiff is from Vegas. I wonder if she knows Norm from Vegas.
We have at least 2 listeners from Vegas, which is more than I ever thought we would.
But I mean, we haven't heard from Norm since I banned him.
Exactly. It worked.
Yeah, I know. He stayed away. He respected the ban. But not to make this about Norm, but certainly Tiff had a crazy story there. And with a lot of ups and downs, especially downs. But she, got publicly humiliated at the end of it by being hosed down by her mother with the garden hose.
Which is a good punishment. But I think she still got to go to that awards ceremony and get a toy, perhaps. Maybe the mom thought it was, all was settled after the hose splashing in the yard.
Yeah. She thought that perhaps Tiff learned her lesson there, but I don't know. Did Tiff ever step in any more puddles that turned out to be giant holes after that?
Well, we'll have to wait a couple weeks and find out.
Yeah, I'll be on the edge of my seat.
Now, another story that played out during episodes 190 to 200 was I told, and I always found this funny, is the little things that we just mention in these offhand comments often are the things that bring in the most response from the Keep Canada Weird Army and correspondent pool. One of the things that got some responses is I told the story of my mom writing LOL under a Facebook post where someone was announcing the death of a loved one. I've come to realize at the time I called my mom, like, why are you writing LOL under that? And she explained that she thought it meant lots of love. You and I joked a little bit about how people our parents' age can be incredibly computer illiterate in sometimes the most endearing and hilarious ways. It's not just you and I that have had those experiences. Many of our listeners have. Let's listen to the story of Catherine's mom, who, much like my mom's LOL, Catherine's mom bought some cute napkins.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. This is your correspondent, Catherine, calling from Vancouver Island. I'm calling in with another story about a parent or an older person misinterpreting something. And this is another emoji story, and more specifically, the poop emoji. So my mom had us over for dinner a few years ago. It was a birthday dinner for myself, and she decorated the house really nicely, put a bunch of balloons and old photos of me everywhere. Everything looked very lovely. And then we sit down at the table, and lo and behold, the napkins have poop emojis all over them. And they were happy birthday napkins, but they, for some reason, had poop emojis all over them. And we were like, Mom, like, why did you get napkins with poop emojis on them? She had no idea that they were poop emojis. I think she had some excuse, like, I didn't have my glasses on or something. So we had to dine with poop emojis. It was super funny, and we make fun of her all the time for it still. And I have a little idea, since, you know, we have the puberty problem. I feel like this is a boomer problem, and we should have a boomer problem segment with all the times that our parents have mistaken emojis for different things and abbreviations for different things, like Jordan's mom with the LOL. Yeah, I think that would be a great segment.
I like the idea for that segment, but it's not really a boomer problem. It's fun, it's interesting, it's cute. I would describe it as a problem.
Yeah, you find it endearing. You find it charming. The difference between this and the puberty problem is, with the puberty problem, it's very threatening. It's very aggressive. The teenagers can corner you, call you names, light things on fire, throw things, steal things. Whereas in this situation with the boomers, it's more adorable than it is anything else.
Boomers in general aren't adorable, but they can have some adorable computer problems. But at the same time, it can be kind of annoying if it's a family member. Like if my mom calls for like any kind of help with her iPad or her phone or her email, I just want to pull my hair out. That's not
Right.
adorable.
No.
But in passing, like if I went to a relative's house and they had poop emoji napkins, not even realizing that, oh, that's why they were on sale. I just bought them because they were cheap. That would be kind of adorable.
Yeah, that would be, yeah. And I wouldn't mind if, a boomer brought poop napkins to my party. As long as there's not real poop on it. See, with the puberty problem, they don't wash their hands. So I would assume that any napkin handled by someone who's infected with the puberty problem, there's fecal matter all over whatever they touch.
There's a really good chance. Let's move away from boomers and let's go back to something we brought up earlier in the story. When we talked about bannings, we brought up Cove Soda. We all know that there's a lot up in the air surrounding Cove Soda and Keep Canada Weird right now. But during episodes 190 to 200 was when we were kind of talking about Cove Soda a lot and bringing their sodas into the show. We have a listener named JP who wants to weigh in on our choice of special drinks during one of the episodes in that period. You had a Cove Soda and I had a kombucha, and that made JP say, wait a minute, I got to call Aaron and Jordan. Listen to this.
Well, I'm just on my way to work here, and I had to stop because of the weird coincidence of Hey, I was thinking when I was drinking my Cove kombucha last night that I should call in and ask what your opinions on kombucha in general. And now here we are, and you guys are letting us know for your special drinks today. You had a kombucha and you had a Cove soda. So I wanted to let you know, way out here in Ontario, we've got some Cove kombucha at our local grocery stores out near Peterborough, I guess. And yeah, just let you know that you might be missing out on a real opportunity to combine your love of Cove and your love of kombucha into a very weird marketing arrangement with them. So heads up, look into it. Love the show. It's the only place I get news from anymore because, hey, the world's crazy.
Oh, man. JP, we never thought of that.
Yeah, it never dawned on us to reach out to Cove 100 times and see if we could have some kind of an arrangement with them. Yeah, that was a real knife in the back from JP. I know he meant well, but I'm going to take it personally. I'm going to take it as an act of aggression. I'm going to basically, you know what? I'm going to ban JP. Yeah, he's banned.
He's rubbing it in.
Yeah, he was trying to get banned. He knew what was going on. He wanted to get banned. JP, you're banned. I'm going to go with the traditional 6-month ban. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to smell you. I don't want to know you exist for 6 months. And then you can call back in and we'll talk then.
I want to give you some time to cool down. Let's take our final break. When we get back, we have some feedback related to episode 199. I believe that was the episode where we talked about the theft of horsehair, because we have some horsehair voicemails coming up after this. Handsome Aaron Airport, episode 199 generated a lot of feedback. We had the story of the stolen horsehair, and also during that episode, we talked about a couple different weird court cases, and one was the fella who sued the matchmaker. We've already heard a couple voicemails about that, but we got more feedback on that. Let's start with the horses, though. First, let's hear from... Actually, this is a dark one, so let's start with this, and then we can have a palate cleanser after it. Let's hear from a listener named Gwyneth, who wants to recommend a horse story that was in the news right after episode 199 that we did not and will not cover. Listen to this.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. This is Gwyneth calling from British Columbia. Long time, first time. And I wish that I was calling you on a happier note, but unfortunately, I'm calling with a suggestion for Keep Canada Weird / Creep Encounters. I'm calling to report a news story that happened in a community that I used to live in, Vernon, British Columbia. It's a small city, and there have been news stories about a man sexually assaulting a horse on a local farm, with CCTV footage included. There was a photo of the man's full face published on Facebook and the like while the RCMP were searching for suspects. And I'm floored that something like this even actually happens in real life in the 21st century. It's just unbelievable. So if you can stomach it, I would suggest you look into it. Thanks. Bye. With CCTV footage included, there was a photo of the man's full face published on Facebook and the like while the RCMP were searching for suspects. And I'm floored that something like this even actually happens in real life in the 21st century. It's just unbelievable. So if you can stomach it, I would suggest you look into it. Thanks. Bye.
I will say we've received several voicemails recommending that story. A crazy story, sure, but I don't think we need to get into that.
No, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. It's a disturbing story, and it's gross, and I love animals, and it's just everything about that story sickens me to my core.
Yeah, I think most people have heard it, have heard the story or came across the news in one way or another. On Canadian Gothic, I did an episode with Jack Luna that we called Bad News Canada. We talked about it on there. That was like a collection of like the worst news stories. We talked about it on there, but for Keep Canada Weird, I'm not exaggerating. We probably got 20 recommendations to cover that story. And I think the
Yeah.
reason for it was because we did the horsehair theft thing right afterwards this happened and
Hmm.
blew up in the news. And I don't want to pin this on us because it's a little too heavy, but we do talk a lot about how when we talk about a story, it seems like more related stories pop up. And I would hate to think that our coverage of the theft of horsehair in any way encouraged dark and antisocial and evil horse related stories. This is something unrelated to Keep Canada Weird. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, so let the listeners beware that we don't want to talk about really that kind of gross. You know, we like gross, like puke is funny.
Weird,
Farts
not
are funny.
disturbing.
Yeah, like there's lots of gross stuff that is funny, but that's the kind of gross that's in its own category, locked away, do not touch.
Mm.
Yeah, please don't do that to us anymore.
Well, maybe this one will work. This is a listener named Amy who wanted to kind of piggyback off of your idea that the theft of the horse's hair may be related to making a shirt. I think that was one of your theories early on. Amy wants to expand on that a little bit.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron, it's your semi-regular correspondent, Amy, down in Oregon in the States. And thinking about the horse hair cutting situation, I immediately thought of hair shirts, which were, shirts woven with animal hair worn by penitents, basically to, I think, keep things painful, to keep things free of sin. I was originally thought maybe that's part of the animal uprising, making people wear that kind of thing. But then why would we be like hurting horses to do that? Anyway, just want to put that out there as a somehow potentially related hypothesis.
I don't know if you knew the word penitence. Have you ever heard that? That's
Isn't it to suffer for
like sin.
wrongdoings?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a religious thing, but it's basically like you
it is.
feel
Yeah,
bad or guilty or shameful,
yeah,
so you do something to like be uncomfortable and harm yourself. Um,
yeah.
so her theory is basically maybe someone was stealing the horsehair to make a shirt to wear it just because it's so uncomfortable. And I like that voicemail because when you told the story of a shirt made of horsehair, to me that sounded like a shirt made out of sandpaper. My sister had a horse, and I remember like petting it and always thinking like, wow, like their hair is so coarse. I never thought about, wow, I would like to wear a shirt out of this. And it seems like
Yeah.
this listener, Amy, maybe agrees with me a little bit more than you.
Yeah, a horse's hair is coarse, of course.
But I don't think that's why someone stole. Why someone
No,
stole
I don't
the
think it's
horse's
for
tails.
that reason. I didn't really know that horse's hair was that coarse and uncomfortable and
Well, you don't.
yeah, so I just assumed that it would make a luxurious, comfortable, warm sweater.
She also said to wear that shirt maybe to help you stay free from sin. Do you remember the jeans called lockups? I
Oh
think they were
yeah.
called. I think the brand was Akita
Yeah, something.
or
No, it
something.
was something like that.
It
Yeah.
wasn't IKEA, but it was something like IKEA. I think it was Akita. For this would have been probably late 80s, really early 90s. For I'm sure you can find out about it online, but they were jeans that for like it seems like for 2 weeks were in style. And rather than like you would pull up the zipper and then you got the button on the top of your jeans, rather than that button, it had a little padlock with a key. So you would like I guess like unlock the padlock so you could use the bathroom and stuff. I don't know why, like who thought, I guess it was a fashion statement, purely not for function. But I do remember just for a minute, they were so popular. And all the kids in school whose parents had great jobs showed up at school like the next week with like Aikido lockups.
Yeah, I remember them. I remember a friend of mine lost his key and he had to go to the bathroom at my house and he was kind of stuck.
What did you do? Like, your dad got like a metal grinder?
I think we were able to pull the pants down eventually. They were kind of tight, but yeah, we pulled them down eventually.
You pulled this guy's pants down.
Yeah, we helped him. He laid on the floor and we gave him a good pull.
What a strange trend. Like I think of all the like certain things that were really popular back in the day. The lockups jeans were one that was weird, but also I don't remember who the manufacturer was, but they were called like I think it was Technicolor
No,
shirts. They were
Hypercolor.
the
I was just
Hypercolor.
about to mention them because that was immediately the one that I just thought of too after thinking about lockups. Was Hypercolor shirts because they were made in such a way with the material where if it got warm, it would change color. So people could like put their handprint on your shirt. But then after you wash them like 5 or 6 times, that technology degraded and then it wouldn't work anymore.
But even when it did work, it was everyone's like underarms would be like a different color than the rest of their shirt, which is just gross. It was such a stupid idea. That was just it's like when a new technology comes out, everyone is like, I'm going to use it in my industry to make money. The same way right now, like AI is new. So every company, it doesn't matter what they make, they try to find a way to like make it AI powered just because that's a fancy thing. I wonder if this color changing material or clothing coloring was invented. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, well, we'll put it in this, we'll put it in that. They put it in shirts and they weren't popular for very long. Like you said, I only remember them being a blip in time.
Yeah, I remember having one, and I remember them being in and around the time that Chip and Pepper was in
That was
style.
big.
They were like two dogs, I think, and they were kind of like tie-dyed inspired shirts with the logo of the dogs on it, Chip and Pepper.
Yeah, I wonder if that company still exists. We got to look into this.
I don't know.
sometime.
I could see them.
If
I
any,
could see them coming back as a a nostalgic vintage style anytime now.
if any listeners out there remember some other interesting trends, brands, or styles or fashions from like the late 80s, early 90s ish, I think that's our era. I'd really like to hear about it. Or any from your era. There's so many interesting times fashion wise. I'd like to hear about it. But we don't have time to dwell on it or imagine it anymore because we got to get into our last voicemail. And this one's a doozy. One of the things we talked about in episode 199, as I already mentioned, was the guy who sued the matchmaker for not finding him a wife. We have a listener named Christina who works, I don't know if she's a matchmaker or works for a matchmaking company. This voicemail comes across as somewhere in between, like almost like an ad for her business, but she also really educates us and asks some interesting questions about matchmaking in the context of the fella suing the matchmaker in Canada. Listen to Christina's thoughts on that story.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. This is Christina calling in from upstate New York. I listen to Keep Canada Weird every week, and this is my first time calling in because I have, like you, quite a few questions about a story that you talked about last week regarding the matchmaking suing court case where this man met 3 women and couldn't find his match. Now, he had a list of, it sounds like, non-negotiables that he was looking for. But what does this man have to offer? I mean, I it it blows my mind how people can think they shop for a significant other when it takes a significant amount of work to work on a relationship. Now, I know this because I work with a speed dating company down here in the States. We have over 2,500 matches and we are in 6 states right now. Now, this isn't an ad, but I have quite a bit of background being single myself with the dating pool and what people search for and the amount of effort it requires to, have a healthy, successful relationship. Now, I'm wondering if this man has ever looked into dating coaching. Now, I know this company specialized in matchmaking services, but what about coaching? Because again, not an ad, but we offer dating coaching services. My question to you guys is, what are your thoughts on speed dating? Do you think this man could benefit from maybe speed dating and face-to-face interactions? And what do you think about dating coaching? Have you heard of anything like this in Canada? I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Thanks.
You want to take this one?
Well, I've heard of dating coaching online. Like people who will offer that. I've seen some of it on TikTok, maybe. And
When I think of the dating coaching thing, especially like the people online, I'm picturing those guys who are like overconfident and like going up on to girls at the mall and like hitting on them, and they're teaching other guys how to like hit on girls in that way.
yeah,
You know, that type of stuff. That's what I think of. I didn't know they had dating coaches that would like ethical dating coaches that would teach you not to pick up girls and get laid, but like find someone.
yeah, yeah. And speed dating, I've never tried it, but it would be really interesting to try. It's
Just as like a social experiment. I just can't imagine you can make much of an impression in
it's
that kind of boiler
I
room.
would see it as a very challenging situation. I would love to give it a go sometime and just see what it's like. I've seen it on TV. I've seen clips of it, but again, I've talked about this on the show, but I see a lot of articles lately or podcasts talking about how people are moving away from dating apps now because
Mm.
it's just kind of turned into this revolving door of disappointment over and over and over again for people. So they're now moving into other methods. And I'm noticing lately, I've seen ads for like more singles dances in places where,
Mm.
or singles events that are starting to pop up now because
In real life,
in real
rather than
life, yeah, like a
yeah.
singles dance is going on here or there, and it's maybe some kind of a theme or something. Maybe there's a specific age category to it, but I'm seeing more events like that now as people are moving away from dating apps like Tinder or Hinge.
I like that idea better. Like bring it in the real world because it's like if you're going to meet someone and be with them, it's in real life anyway. So why do it all on an app? If you had it, like it just seems strange. But this whole like the speed dating thing, I don't think that's I could see how it could work. Let's say if you're some agency or you're in some community or something and you have 50 or 100 single people, why not just bring them all together and just give them all just by making the format of speed dating, it just makes it so they all have to just quickly meet each other. Maybe there's a spark there. And if not, it's an interesting experiment, I guess.
It is. I would like to see some kind of information or stats about how many people have met over speed dating.
I've never
I've
heard of
never
anyone.
heard of anyone either, but I also
I don't think I've heard of anyone
yeah,
who's
I don't
went.
know anybody who's ever gone to a speed dating event. I never
Yeah,
hear about any
same.
speed dating events happening anywhere near me anyway, but so it's not, I think you'd probably see it more in busier
Mm.
cities.
Maybe where she is, our caller there with this company, because by the sounds of it, they organize these events. I think she said they made like 2,800 matches. Maybe it was 28,000. They also offer these kind of like dating coaching services. So whatever her company has going on is completely different than this maybe shyster we heard about in Canada who guaranteed to find you a wife.
Yeah, yeah. That guy just seems unreasonable. He would do very poorly in speed dating because someone like that, it's so obvious as soon as they sit down that they're a giant bag of garbage.
Hmm.
So I think that guy, his true self, he can't filter himself. He can't help himself. It'll just spill out onto the table, and
Hmm.
every woman would just recoil in disgust from him.
Maybe that's why speed dating would be good though, because I think even like a person who just kind of sucks at everything can maybe massage a profile online and get like the best two photos of the 40,000 they have and make themselves look presentable. Where in a speed dating situation or at a singles dance, whether it has a theme or not, I don't think they could pull it off and they would expose themselves. So, as someone
Mhm.
who's looking, like if you're someone who has something to offer, I could see that situation working out for you, like a speed dating kind of thing. But if you're someone who's having a really hard time for good reason, without a dating coach, speed dating, you would probably just get eaten alive in there.
Yeah, yeah. It would be good to see it in action a little bit before trying it, but
Mhm.
I mean, we tried our own Keep Canada romantic segment on the show to try and match up some listeners, and that hasn't worked yet. But I don't think we've had enough listeners call in with profiles. We need a larger pool to work with, I think.
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time. If anyone out there wants to try our dating service, go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact, send a voicemail where you introduce yourself, tell us a bit about yourself, tell us about the type of person you would like to find in this world, and Aaron and I will see what we can do.
Yeah. And I think that it would be really wonderful to be responsible for matching two people who end up spending the rest of their lives together. That would just be such a special thing to do on this show. There's really only two goals that once we achieve these two goals, I think we should shut the show down. And it's
What are they?
finally matching somebody through Keep Canada Romantic, and hearing back from Cove Soda.
For better or worse. Even if it's to say they got our email.
Even if it's to say, please stop messaging us. We're not interested.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. A premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes, but the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
So, if you're waiting for a bus and it drives past you, did you miss the bus or did the bus miss you? Because I don't think you missed the bus. I think the bus missed you.
Hey guys, this is Holly from the US, and this is my first time calling. I was listening to your 190th episode of Keep Canada Weird, and you two seemed shocked by the aggressiveness, I guess, surrounding Pokemon cards. I think the point you're missing is how much money they're worth. Like, dive into that rabbit hole sometime because it will blow your mind.
Hey, good morning. I was just listening to episode 190 of Keep Canada Weird. My name is Amanda. I'm from Grimsby, Ontario. I just wanted you to know that Value Village, Salvation Army, Goodwill, any of those stores, they absolutely do not wash the clothes that come in, and they absolutely do see all kinds of gross and nasty things. So if that weirds you out even more, I'm sorry, but that's the facts.